Welcome to another edition of Project Legacy. Again, this time no figure this, figure that, but hospital conversations. I'm the Don, this is
Muerte.
So we're glad you're here to share this little journey with us. I'll just start you off with some of the figures in front of me just to get Project Legacy on its way. It's my platoon, Sergeant Barnes and Private Chris Taylor, and my two Robocops, which is Alex Murphy and the die-cast Robocop. Listen to this, listen to this.
Drop the gun, you are under arrest. You're coming with me. Come quietly or there will be trouble. Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
Quite good, eh? But obviously you can't leave it on because the batteries don't last. It comes in our back part there. But yes, anyway, so yeah, Project Legacy about the hospital.
Indeed. Yeah, I think we've kind of flowed with going into days, day 1, day 2, day 3.
Yeah.
And I think we've spoken about maybe trying to maybe just give a little bit of a more holistic approach or understanding sort of the journey as a total, rather than just go day by day.
Yeah, little stories or little antidotes that go with weeks and months as I went through the first 2 years and then into these preceding years.
Yeah, and then we'll go back and do the day by days because I think the day by days are nice. But I think if we can give an understanding of everything, then yeah, cool. So we're expecting a little bit of a longer episode today, but I think we're going to add a lot of meat to the bone, so to speak. So
Let's start there.
Yeah, let's start there.
Well, it's now what? It happened in June 2000. I've had 59 operations to date, each and every one under general anesthetic. In the first 2 years, I had about 36 operations, 2 on my left leg, the rest on my right leg to save it, that and the knee. As soon as I started walking, the discs in my spine went. That led to a further 9 major back surgeries. I then had surgical hernia after one of the back surgeries, and that resulted in another 4 operations to put titanium mesh to cover the hole that was left basically in my stomach. My innards were it's a hernia.
And that is all, I mean, the horrifying thing with all those operations, there was malpractice.
When it came to third party, we were operating because my ex-wife, her father took over her bills, so she went into a private rehab. She was there for quite a while, where I was, as I say, the first 2 years in public hospitals, which is predominantly black in South Africa. So once third party took over, they started allocating me to different private hospitals and different private clinics. I spent 3 Christmases in hospital, 3 birthdays in hospital. Yeah, no, it was horrific. This doctor, who was basically the only doctor I could get at the time, I think, in this private hospital to operate on me, to fix me on the strength of this third party letter from the lawyers saying that costs will be paid once the court case is finalized, because it's such a big court case. So he was operating on the back of that. Anyway, at the same time, we're going to all these misters from the different sides. You have to go to the third party's mister in that department, and you have to go to our specialist in their department. And each submits a report for the third party. But where was I going with this though? Why did I...
Well, we were talking about different operations and legal.
I got this doctor. You already left, I think, for South Africa when they started operation on my spine.
Yeah.
So this doctor steps up, this orthopedic surgeon says, no, that's sweet. We'll help you out. Come see me. So we say, okay, great. So we went the whole cortisone route, cortisone injections in the spine, didn't work. Eventually we had to do a laminectomy, which is the removal of a disc and a prosthetic disc inserted. So why I say the misters are now important is the mister that we went to see for actually leg specialist, he was a mister in knee replacements and stuff like that. He was asked to look at my spine as well. And when he put the x-rays up, he exploded. He said, my God, why has he excavated such a huge area to do one laminectomy? He wanted to report him to the doctors, whatever they report, like the lawyer's bar, and I'm saying, no, wait, he's the only doctor that will operate on me, he's helping me. Little did I know, all these operations later, I'm just about to leave South Africa to come here, and I meet one of the patients that was in a ward with me that had his neck operated on by the same doctor. And I found out there was at least 16 to 17 patients taking this doctor to court, this specialist, because him and his dad owned a prosthetic company, an orthopedic prosthetic company that manufactured them, and he was using his patients to test fit these prosthetics. So he obviously excavated a big site so that he could try his different prosthetics for size. I mean, how's that, eh? I just had bad luck after bad luck, because if something could go wrong, like infection, abscess, it doesn't matter where, it would happen to me. And I was back into hospital again.
Yeah.
More operations, more operations. I mean, that same hospital, I come down from a major back op, I think it's about 2-3 hours later, I'm out the recovery, I'm in my ward, the sister comes around and she's there to remove the drains. So she pulls out the one, great, comes to pull a second drain out, she's tugging, pull, and the drain snapped, and it wrapped around. When they closed me up, they'd left the drain wrapped around a screw. It's when they put that ladder in my spine. It's like a bracket at the bottom of your spine, and then there's a bracket with 2 titanium rods going up, and that's called a ladder. It's to stabilize your spine. But this, he did all sorts, man, all sorts. That ladder that he put in, the screws came loose in the hip, where they screw it to the hip.
Yeah.
They used bone grafts and special glues and the whole thing. That came away.
Good grief.
So,
I'm only saying, there was a series on the BBC that showed live operations, and there was somebody getting the knee done, and I saw them using that bone glue before they put bolts in and all that sort of thing. So
it's a mixture of bone and their special orthopedic glue.
It's such a it's a symphony to watch them work
around
what they do. But
it's amazing.
But it's horrifying when you hear that you've got well, I mean, not only do you have a point like that, but you had a spinal fluid
the spinal leak. I went to the shower one Christmas in a clinic. They just operated on my spine. It was, I think, maybe the second or third day afterwards. Second day maybe. Second day, because I wanted a shower. So you got your corset on, you get up, you go to the shower. I took the corset off and I just heard water hit the ground. And I thought, wow, that's a lot of sweat to gather in a corset. So I thought nothing of it, but weird. Had the shower. By the time I'd walk from the shower back to my bed, I couldn't even stand. There was a small nick, and I had a spinal fluid leak, and that means it's all the pressure in your system is let out. And it's devastating to the body. All I can remember is lying in my mom's lap, and she's stroking my head, singing lullabies to me for about 7 to 8 hours on Christmas Day. It was the most horrific headaches I've ever had in my life.
I was upset when I heard that, but nevertheless, I think.
It was rough times. My aunt and uncle, Eddie and Lynn, he's not the soft type, but he's a hell of a good friend and a hell of a good uncle. He's been a staunch from the beginning for me. He's been a mate since I was a teenager. He's helped me. So he came in to visit and he went mad. He just said, "Why didn't you tell me he was like this? I wouldn't have come if he was like this." But no one expected it. It was this. The neurosurgeon that operated on me was a bit of a twat. There was times, let me tell you, there was times in private hospital, I told you, and it was unbelievable to Grant, I had wads of cash in my hand. Wads of cash in the room before you go into the surgery, before you actually go into theatre.
Yeah.
I've got wads of cash with me on the gurney, in my operating gear, with the marks on me wherever they're going to operate, and I'm handing out cash. That's how bad it became, the system over there, and man, it was a nightmare.
It was so disgusting to hear. And then some of the things, like you mentioned, one of the guys refused to do an operation because they were owed money by a third party. Nothing to do with you.
Same neurosurgeon. I'd been booked in, I think it was my second laminectomy or my third. I think it was my second laminectomy. And he came in and then he seen the letter under which I was being operated under from my lawyer's firm. And he says to me, "No, bugger that. Because if they operate on your spine, orthopedic surgeon, he has to have a neurosurgeon present in case things go wrong." So he picks on me, he says, no, I'm not touching you. I didn't get paid the last time from your lawyer, so no, bugger that. So I'm out of the bed, drips out. I was in the same ward with a dude with the neck.
Okay.
Yeah. Drip out. I'm off then. If you don't want to operate, I'll go. Call the sister. Sister came in. She called the doctor, my doctor, the orthopedic surgeon. He came and said, "No, it's all sorted out." But that was the same guy I was handing cash to. He wouldn't go into the theatre if I didn't hand him the cash.
Yeah.
My hands were filthy black of handling the cash, and I'm going into theatre.
It's a different world.
It's a different world. And now that I'm sitting talking about it. Usually I can talk for hours on the hospitals, and so forgive me. It's not stage fright. It's just you forget everything that went on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here. I try to piece it. And I'm trying to flow with where we're going.
Yeah.
And I think we're going in the right way because we've now covered quite a few of your operations. But, I mean, obviously in very, very short detail.
Yeah,
but
the spinal ops broke me. I must admit, if it wasn't for the family around me, I would have been effed. There's just no way without family and friends. You must know then I've also got my ex-wife, who was sadly brain damaged. She had 22% frontal lobe damage, and I looked after her for years, for about 14 years after the accident. And she buggered off to America, the one when I was dying in hospital.
Yes.
Yeah, literally on death's door, I find out from Grant, who was from Mwate, who was up here. He was working up here, so he would stay at me when he worked up here. And my son, Dane, they come to me in the hospital and say, "Listen, we've seen emails, we've seen things between these two. She's going across there for a holiday." And I'm saying, "What? What?" So when I came out of hospital, when they released me, she was already gone on holiday. And I thought, what the hell is happening here?
I mean, okay, I think, I think where I'd like to go quickly is we've spoke previously about pain management and people's understanding of pain or different types of pain and maybe medication with pain and why people have a pain team and things like that, because your understanding of being in a hospital and going into ICU and coming out of ICU into the wards and all of that, you've got so much experience with all of that and with pain in the sense of different types of pain medication for different types of pain.
Yeah, it's been 20 years.
Yeah, and I think there was something that you said to me the other day that really resonated with me was you said I had all this pain medication, and the amount is
Yeah, it's
scary.
staggering
Yeah,
if you hear what I'm on.
Yeah, but you still said I had an abscess and it was absolutely murder. It was like really killing me.
It killed me.
So maybe if you can go into that and just explain a little. I mean, obviously we haven't got time to go through everything.
It's the same as when you go to the dentist and you've got an abscess. The anesthetic doesn't work because it's an abscess. Don't ask me why, but it doesn't work on abscess. That's why they give you antibiotics to kill the abscess before they can do anything with it. Usually. Okay. So when you can, I picked up this bone-eating thing called Staphylococcus. Now, I picked that up in supposed to be a sterile ward when I had the open wound before all the fixators and before everything. It was in the first 6 weeks I picked that up. That affects you for life. So every time I have a bone injury, that can rear its ugly head. So now, after all these operations, 59, the last 3 spinal operations was here, and in the last one they fused my spine. The last 5 they fused without even telling me. I only found out 2 years later that my spine had been fused. But anyway, it was a nightmare. What was I trying to tell them there though?
We were talking about pain management, and so you were going into the staphylococcus just to explain about the spinal fusions and bits and pieces, but the pain management with an abscess.
Well, it's also, you can't do pain management with an abscess. It's horrible. That's why they prefer to, if they can, lance a boil or lance an abscess, because to get that poison out, because that can easily turn into sepsis.
Okay.
You know, and then that's the end. You know.
Okay. So that makes sense. But now, let's go back to the pain. How much painkillers you were on?
Well, at the moment now, I'm in the.
Maybe I said that the wrong way.
Process. The disc above now is starting to go, so I'm in pain with that all the time. This knee replacement needs doing on my right hand side, but if you had to see x-rays of it, you would understand what the orthopedic mister means when he says, Dale, it's a custom knee. To find parts for it would be very difficult, and if we have to remove that, there's always a chance of the staphylococcus coming and killing you. And also the bottom of the leg is held together with hope and a promise. So that'll just collapse as soon as he removes the knee replacement. So I've got to walk now and try and bear the pain for as long as I can, because this orthopedic mister says to me it's going to be above the knee and I'm going to be stiffed with NHS, God bless them, don't get me wrong, but an NHS prosthetic leg, which they're not the best at the best of times. And he doesn't want to do that. So now we come to the pain medication. I dropped from 180 milligrams twice daily of OxyContin. That I've been on Valeron, I've been on fentanyl, I've been on fentanyl patches, I've been on morphine patches, I've been on morphine, I've been, there's not many pain drugs that they haven't tried out on me. In South Africa I was on Valeron. That's what they give the cancer patients over there in their last days. But the pain just gets intense, man. It just gets intense. And now I've ended up, it started about, how long has Sue been gone? How long has Alexis been gone? 6 years?
Yeah, something like that.
It was around about then. Me and my mom, bless her, decided I've got to get off the morphine. The morphine is killing me. It's just too much, and my doctor agreed. So he prescribed OxyContin for me, 40 milligram. So I thought, okay, that's cool. That's cool. I'm off the morphine now. I'll go on these 40. It's just another opioid, but it's better than the morphine.
Yeah. Oh.
Next thing I know, I have a week of sheer hell. I didn't sleep, and this is no word of a lie, I didn't sleep for a full week, a full 7 days, from seeing my doc to seeing him again because he wasn't there that whole week to the following Monday. It started me with restless legs. I don't know if you know what restless legs are. It's when your legs just will not stop. They like that all the time. And you try and sleep when your legs are doing that. My mom had, because she came down in the end. I was broken. I went in to see a locum doctor on Wednesday, I think it was. And I actually tell a lie. Just pick that up there, Grant, and kill it. Just kill it. Sorry about that. Now I've lost my train of thought.
I'll come back.
What was I telling them about?
We were talking about pain, the different types of pain that we were under.
Oh yes.
And
so
then
I have this week of hell where I now get this restless legs, violent projectile vomiting, but dry retching 90% of the time. Extreme temperature highs, extreme temperature lows, sweating continuously, restless legs, can't sleep, the whole move. And I told a lie in the beginning, I said it was Dr. Sam that did the transition. It wasn't, it was this locum doctor that did the transition because he wasn't there, he was away. So this doctor prescribed me these 40s. I seen her again on the Wednesday. I said, listen, I'm dying out here, I can't do this. I've been 3 days now without sleep. She says, just hang in there, just hang in, it's the changeover. So I come back home, my mom sees the state of me, she comes straight down from where she is, so she sits with me and my dad up until the following Monday, till I see my doctor, and he says, oh no, you're on the wrong strength, you should have been on 80, not 40, you're on half dose. So they put me for a week. I'd never had restless legs before in my life, I'd never had this projectile vomiting, and that started a whole, oh man, these last 5 or 6 years, I've had cameras. They've invented orifices, invented them to put cameras up. I've had nuclear X-rays. I've had.
Yeah, but you ended up in front of
a neurologist.
Yeah.
In front of the neurologist, and she reads my file and she says, "Dale, what are you doing here? What? Why are you seeing me?" So I said, no, doc, listen, you can't send me away. You are my last ditch hope. You were the person that was going to solve this because I've been to everybody else. It's still happening. And I'm crying now. And I say, I'm dying out there. I'm dying. These things are killing me. And she says, I'm sorry, I can't help. I can't help. So I had to self-manage that. All by myself. I had no one here, I've got no mates here. I don't drink anymore, so I'm not in the pubs. Yeah, you tend not to get out. It's just, you feel weird. It's just a weird scenario. So then you end up living in solitude and your mental health starts to suffer. And I think, I never thought I'd hear myself say that. But yeah, since my mom's passed, my mental health has struggled, I've struggled big time. And if it wasn't for my dad and my aunt's weekly calls and my cousins, I think I would have lost it, I think I would have lost it because I wasn't seeing no one, I wasn't seeing anyone. Mental health is a killer. Mental health.
But, I mean, we
I've
were
suffered the full fucking spectrum. I've come the full spectrum to where I am now, and it hasn't been a nice place, What with the pain, messing around with medication, my mom going, my dad being up there on his own, it's been hard,
I think this time that the virus has hit us all it's affected everybody. Everybody. It doesn't matter who they are. But I think the thing is that
well,
I think through all the things that I've heard you talk about, the hospitals, the different operations, the this, the that, the dealing with cash, the funny things, the things that maybe we find funny that aren't actually funny,
that's hospital
all that sort of thing. But I think through all of it, it's like the thing that cracks you is when your head cracks.
Yeah.
And so mental health is the thing. You either hold it together or you don't, or you start falling apart.
Yeah.
And mental health is really strange. The more you talk about it, the more you get to understand it, you realize that it's completely different for every single person.
Yeah. What was that analogy you said the other day about the someone with a broken arm?
Yes, yeah. It was. I was with one of my daughters, and we were talking to one of the lecturers, I think, at her university, and she mentioned to me that if somebody with a broken leg or a bone sticking out of their leg was in front of you, and there was a flight of stairs, would you tell that person to pull themselves together and get up the stairs? You know. Get on with it, or try. I think that was her biggest thing, was would you ask them to try and walk up the stairs?
Yeah.
And I think the fundamental in there is, for me, was that, no, you wouldn't even ask them to try, because you can see the damage.
They're broken.
It's broken, but mental health is inside.
Different.
And so from the outside, you can look as good as gold, but from the inside, you're just as broken as that bone sticking through the leg.
Yeah, and I never thought what broke me would have broke me. These last 2 years, I've been through all of this shite just for this last 4 months with, it's just completely destroyed my mental health, and it's all to do with medication, and I'm trying to get completely off the oxypod. I'd rather have the pain than live shackled to drugs, because that's what you are in the end. That's what you are in the end.
And I'm the same. I mean, I had open heart surgery, so I'm on warfarin and I'm on things that
painkillers and all the rest.
They're drugs that I cannot get without prescriptions. Without pharmacy. And there's a support mechanism there that has to be there to support what I have to go through, or anybody in that position. Doesn't mean that I'm somehow less of a contributor,
less a person.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
But I think, I think so. So the reason of the pain and all of that, and I think actually where we've got to now. Sorry, I'll come back to the pain one. But where we've got to now is we're trying to maybe put the picture in places to say we're going through quite a hard time right now.
Yeah, and we're using this as a way of coping.
Yeah.
Being able to talk to our families here, there and everywhere. Because honestly, it's only when you've been through something like what I've been through, do you realise all what Grant's been through, how valuable family and friends are. They're very few and far between friends when you get into difficult situations. And that could be for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
Mine most probably because they were either all locked up or dead. But But now I'm in a different country. The medical is second to none here. The NHS do such a marvelous job. So they're just brilliant. But you can also get lost in the NHS as well. You can get caught up in it's horrific. If you get on the bad side of your surgery, God forbid, because then everything you get, and you must remember, you're going to the chemist once a month, at least. I've got to go at least 7 times a month. It does things to you, man. And you can't, every time you try and change something, you're coming up against these brick walls, and it's just making life more interesting, shall we say. More interesting.
Maybe because it was something that you mentioned to me before, and I think until we were
living
under the same roof, so to speak, and only temporary, but anyway, I think there's a clearer understanding from me as to what you had to go through preparation wise, just to go to the pharmacy.
Yeah.
So you're getting up in the morning, or you have a shower and all that. I mean, normal people will go, we do that every day, but when you're disabled and you've got all these other things that are preventing you from having
Yeah,
a
it
normal
becomes a bit
functioning
of a
day.
bit more mission to do anything.
Yeah, big style.
Yeah.
And then to go somewhere and somebody says to you, hey, listen,
You've wasted your
can
time.
you come back tomorrow?
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, okay.
But you know, I needed them for today.
Yeah,
That is the rules, you know.
yeah, but it's because I don't know. I don't want to drift too far into.
No, it's more
this
about
part of it.
the whole accident and the whole move. Yeah, I actually took it in the wrong direction there. But yeah, when it comes to pain, I've had every tab under the sun. I'm on all sorts now that
Okay,
they've got me on.
What tablet feels the best? Let's just go with something like that.
The Valeron feels, for me, the Valeron from South Africa was the best.
Yeah,
But they, as you know, all these drugs are very addictive. And my body has become addicted to these drugs, especially to the opioids. I've dropped from 180 twice a day. I'm now down at 85 twice a day. And by God, are they fighting me over this 5 mil? And it was my idea to drop all this stuff in the first place.
But I think the point there is that how much would a normal, how much, I mean, because I was talking to you the other day, I was saying, what did I get after my heart op? So I was on 100 milligrams every hour, but only for 3 hours.
Oh, no.
And then they did me on a daily basis. So even though I had open heart surgery and I thought I was on really strong drugs, and I said to them, "No, I'm still in pain. You know, bring me stuff." But anyway, it was I wasn't anywhere near the volume of
Yeah, well, even now,
that you were
I
having.
carry a Tupperware with all my tablets in that I take. I'll just give you a rough, I take 1,200 milligrams of gabapentin in the mornings. I take 85 milligrams of OxyContin, 25 milligrams of amitriptyline, 60 milligrams of dolaloxetine, 10 milligrams folic acid, and the next one, propanthenine. If you're on opioids for long periods of time, your opioid receptors burn out and they can react by crying out for more. So I get these huge body sweats, and I had to carry a towel. It came so bad at one stage I would have to change a t-shirt in a shopping mall. I'd have to buy a new one because it was sopping wet after a sweat attack, as I called them, a sweat attack. So I spoke to the doctor and he says, there is a tablet that combats the sweats, but there's a downside. So I said, what's a downside? He says, it gives you an extremely dry mouth. So it's up to you, choose the better of two evils. So I chose the dry mouth because the sweats are horrible. But if you're sitting in front of an attractive girl and maybe at bank teller or something, and you're trying to and the sweat is pouring down your face, and you've got to say, excuse me, have you got some tissue there? Excuse me. And you need like a whole roll of tissue just to wipe yourself down. It was horrible, eh?
Yeah.
So I took the dry mouth.
I get them every now and then, but like, I mean, few and far between. But I get them because I'm on a lot of tabs as well. So, but it's not a very pleasant feeling, and it's all of this stuff that I find is the difficulty about every day you living through these things, and you're trying to strive the best you can, and
you're trying to be honest, man. You're trying to fucking do the things people ask of you, and you get no help. Honestly, if they get a bee in their bonnet, my God, do they make it difficult, to get on with life. And it's not just me. It's not just me. I thought it was maybe me, but I've seen and spoken to a lot of people from the Vale because of an area of business that I meet them. And they've all got horror stories. So, and I've got a mate staying with me. And all his scripts and all of everything is cocked up within 4 months from the same surgery. And when you try and fix it, you get told to sod off.
You can't communicate. But I think,
all of these
frustrations are frustrations, and I get them. And I think one of the things is we live
you see, they don't understand. My injuries are skeletal.
Yeah.
They're skeletal injuries. You know what I mean? They see me, I'm always well presented well.
Yeah. I
try and, you clean shaven, clean clothes on, the whole move.
Yeah.
And listen, I nearly went back there. So that's where all my problems are now starting to encounter is on the medical side, medicine. I want to come off all these drugs.
Yeah. And it is a lot. I mean, we spoke about the volume. You mentioned the drugs you were on in the morning.
Well, that whole amount I tuned you about. No, I take that twice a day.
Yeah.
And then there's a third batch I take at night. 1200 gabapentin and 50 milligram amitriptyline. So it's a lot.
It's a mammoth
staggering amount.
Yes,
staggering.
So and so when you've got that sort of volume of let's say pain suppressor.
And I've got hemochromatosis, which is too much iron in your blood, right? So they draw blood, sometimes 2 pints in a week. And you'll have to go every 2 weeks because your iron level is super high.
Yeah.
But they've managed to keep mine under control. But now I'm being told I'm anemic. How can you be have hemochromatosis but be anemic? Which is a loss of iron in your blood. So that's where I am now on that. Skeletal wise, the next time I know they go in, I'll lose the leg. I have to make that decision. So my son says he's going to set up one of those fundraising things on Facebook. I says, no. Don't do that. No. Don't do that. I don't want to end up looking like I've got 80 quid.
Yeah.
From the thousands of people, I've got 80 quid to buy my new prosthetic.
Yes.
Yeah. No. But I mean,
so I think, volume of drugs is something. It gives an understanding as to why you're on such a volume of drugs, why there's so many drugs. I know we spoke about pain and different pain, or we touched on the subject. We didn't really talk about it too much, but I think we'll do that in another episode. But what we were trying to do was put things into perspective and help people just understand that where you are today, the way you sit today, the way you talk today.
My teeth. My teeth. I've lost all my teeth.
Yeah.
Detect the calcium, all the operations, I don't know, all the medicines, and it attacked my teeth. I lost quite a few of my teeth, as you can notice. It never ends. You just start getting used to living with something, and then something else rears up, and you think, no, man. I've also now, how's this? I've got sudden one-sided deafness.
Yep.
Out the blue, woke up one morning, couldn't hear the phone. So went to the specialist. You've got sudden one-sided. Only me. I go for ultrasounds for, what was it for? I can't remember even what it was for, but she says to me, when did you have your heart attack? I said, what? I said, I've had any heart attack. She said, look at all the scarring here. I said, hey, you're looking at the wrong fucking x-ray or something. I haven't had a heart attack. So she says, no, sometimes you have these episodes called silent heart attacks, and they can happen in your sleep. And it leaves damage. But apparently every human, everybody has this.
Okay.
This is what they told me anyway, to keep me a happy camper. You see, the ultrasound chick was from South Africa.
Okay.
And she was working there, so she told me what she could see. Usually they don't. You've got to wait for the specialist to do the report. So she actually shouldn't have said to me what she said to me.
My word.
And then I shouldn't have got spookgerook, panicked with her telling me that, because almost as I say, everybody has a bit of this damage apparently. But yeah, now I'm on Candistatin, is it? Candistatin. What's that for? Blood pressure?
Well, I'm on it for a different reason, I think. I don't know what it's for as in a general thing.
Because you're losing hair.
No, mine is the bisoprolol and the Candistatin, the two balance against each other for electricity and heating and all that.
But coming back to operations, yeah, I'm worth more at the pawn shop in titanium than I am alive in insurance.
Yeah.
How bad is that?
Yeah.
So I've had debridlements, I've had bone grafts, I've had abscesses. They were even discussing at one stage of putting maggots in the flesh to kill the infection.
Good grief.
Yeah, it is a tried method, believe it or not.
Okay.
And there was something with honey as well. When they put honey is a great healer.
Manuka honey or?
I can't remember. They tried it. They put honey and then they would wrap. In the end, I ended up with these things called Gentamicin Beads. Because remember, I couldn't put weight on my leg for 2 years. I didn't put any weight on that leg till they fixed whatever. And it had a clear film over it, and they left the wound open like that, and it was filled to the brim with these Gentamicin beads. And that's how I had to go home, like that, with my Gentamicins. Then there was Fixators. I had the first one, which was just, you've seen it, if you look on those photos, you'll see the first one. After that, I had these things called Ilizaris. It's 3 individual rings, and you tighten a millimeter every day to bring the bone together. Don't over tighten, because the bone then does that, and they have to re-break your leg and reset it. So this one's 2 centimeters shorter than this side. I'm supposed to have my shoes all built up and that, but you look like PC Plot, man. No fashion sense in those built up shoes.
No. But I mean, nevertheless, I mean, people obviously, some people choose to use those things and some people don't.
Choose to use what?
Like a built up shoe or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's just, hey man. They did an operation on because I've got drop foot on my right foot. It's something that happens when your leg is immobile for such a long time. That's why you see people in bed immobile. They'll make them do ankle exercises, and so you don't get this thing called drop foot. That's when your foot literally drops. Okay. So the Achilles tendon is totally relaxed. The foot's dropped. So they operated on mine and they stretched it to try and fix it, but I've still got drop foot in that foot. I've got no feeling from the knee down. Yeah. My calf muscle was moved around. It's called a muscle flap. Yeah. And every time I move my toes, the muscle flap goes.
Yeah.
It's weird to see in
It's still
shorts.
the calf muscle moving, but it's in the wrong place.
And it's out in the open.
Yes.
There's nothing over it, so it just goes.
Yeah.
So that can be painful at times. Sometimes it's, especially when you're in bed and it cramps. Yeah, and I think people forget. I mean, there was the other half as well that was involved in this. Shame, and she had an horrific time as well. She was 2 years in and out the rehabs, learning to basically walk, talk. I think she came on a lot because she had a very high IQ, Sue. My ex-wife. She had a very high IQ, and she was also well read. She'd read a lot through her life. So she came back a lot quicker than people thought, but it was with a complete personality change. It wasn't the same girl coming out the accident at all. Every single thing had changed from what she liked. It all had to be taught to her, or she picked it up on her own as if she liked that. But she would often ask questions of, did I used to do that, or did I used to do that? And shame, I think she had a hard boat to row. I think she had a very hard boat to row. They also can do some horrible things. brain damaged people, and they don't see it, but it causes a lot of damage in relationships around you. Because they come very possessive, they can be really, really...
well, those are traits. I mean, they're things that can happen and can't happen. Different
yes,
people have
different people get affected different ways,
yeah.
And God bless her, she's over in America now. I hope she's happy. Well, I know she's happy with her new man. So,
Yeah, life does.
Godspeed, eh? Godspeed. She had we both had a rough deal for, 6 months, man. Married for 6 months when that chick hit us. 59 operations I've had to endure, and I've got more to come. But as I say, if you've got friends and a family like I have, you can fucking get through anything, man. Dig deep and fuck the rest. Just get on with it. Listen, it's all relative. You could have an abscess, you could have a stub toe, but it's sore at the time, and you always dig deep to fix it. So I suppose, don't lose hope. I've had a lot of shit happen in these last 20 years, and I'm still here. We're still smiling, we're still having a laugh. Albeit the conversation has changed, and there's maybe more tears than there was then, and for things lost, but you've got to look to the future. If you don't look to the future, you've got nothing. You've got nothing at all. I see some people, even in my hobby, they don't realize how lucky they are to be able to do stuff like this. Not everyone. I didn't have access to this as a child. It's all new, and so, and you hear they bitch about, it doesn't look like him, or this and that. Get on with it, eh? Life's good.
Yeah.
Life's good.
But anyway, but if you enjoy the figures and you like those sorts of things, then cool. Obviously the channel is mainly figures, so I'm hoping. By the way, we actually had 2 of our videos go over 500.
Yeah.
On
good one. Figure this,
views.
figure that.
Yeah, how about that? That's actually world class.
Yeah. So hit comments, man, and subscribe. Do you like what we're saying?
Yeah.
Here? Does it make sense? Am I just waffling? Or are we getting our point across? That there's more to life, eh?
Yeah, we want to go on a journey, but we want it to be an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
And we want to bring out the fun parts of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some horrible stuff, but in a way where it's not a joke. It's not a joke, but
But it is funny when you get stuck in a bin because your back freezes and you're stuck in a bin for 3 hours in a wheelie bin.
Oh yeah. Or if
or
somebody comes into a mall and robs the place and you're the only one standing.
Ah, shit, that was funny.
Before
my mouth gets too dry, let me grab a mint. Just reach for ease, mint. South Africa is a lot of armed robbery. So I was out of hospital at one time, and there's a shopping mall across the road from us, and I was walking with a Zimmer frame, what the old people use, and I had a fixator on this leg. So as you walk through the shopping mall, it's got a big middle piece, and they put out tables where they were selling books and stuff like that. But there's a Checkers just off to the right, there's a Jewelers, there's a couple other shops, something behind me, I think a bank, and an exit into the car park, and then a big clothing store. Anyway, we hear gunshots, and it's in the mall itself, and it's coming from the Jewelers, and these 2 black guys run out, and they're shouting like, "Get on the ground," and everyone gets on the ground, but now I'm standing there with my Zimmer. I can't get on the ground, so I'm trying to say to them, no! No! The Jewelers out shooting, and I'm stuck in the middle of the lot, eh? I couldn't go anywhere. Fucking painted target, I've got a big head as it is. Yeah, I'll never forget the fear in me that day. Yes. Get down on the ground. God! God, man! Shit, people who must have seen that on security campers must have thought, poor bugger, eh?
Yeah, poor man.
Poor bugger.
You don't see that on the first 48.
No.
But but anyway.
Yeah, I will leave you with that story. We'll
Yeah.
leave you with that story because I think we're starting to waffle now. And I know we waffled during the conversation now, and I went off on a bit of a tangent on to what's happening current in my life now. So just forget about that.
No, I think we need to. There's a reason for mentioning that. We'd like to follow the same pattern that other YouTubers do, where they go every week, bring out an episode, and it just doesn't work like that with us. So it's if we have a good time, we can get quite a lot of shooting done. But if we don't, then unfortunately that suffers. So
Yeah, you do. Shooting revolves around the disabled parts of your life.
yeah,
So
indeed.
it's not every day that we're both on sync, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because Murata is going through lots right now, and I'm just super tough.
So we're
good looking.
so we're trying to make sure that that we get them out at where it is every week, but bear with us, please, because we will try and get there as soon as we can. And we're also going to sort out all the naming or the
I think I
structure of
found
the things
today
that
as well,
we
from the last episode and this episode, we basically covered the whole spectrum. We haven't got into each and every operation, obviously, because that's a waste of time, but there is some stories there as well. But
I'd like to concentrate on the stories. I'd like to maybe have a little, like a 2-minute. This is where we are in the event of things.
Yeah, and this
then,
is what was happening.
Yeah, and then talk
little
about
little
funny
antidotes.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Little antidotes.
That's what I'd like to
But
do. But
I've learned I need to start putting words down so that when I come here, I can remember what I've told you and what I haven't told you, so I don't waffle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because you get excited.
Yeah, I know.
Because I've been on KTV before. I just thought I'd mention this.
Oh yes.
When my son was born, there was a program in South Africa called Treasure Hunt. It's where you were in a game show and you directed a helicopter by clues to find the prize, right? So they had an Afrikaans one called Skatejag. That's what it was called, was a chick called Melanie Walker. So because on the night, or on the morning, my son was Caesar, and it was the only Caesar of the night. So they phoned and asked, could they use him as the prize in one of the questions for Skatejag? So I thought, oh, go for it. And they said, do you want to come along and be on TV? Hey, the funds,
the opportunity arises.
Yeah. So they said, you can bring a friend if you like. We'll supply you with some beers. Just come to the studio. And just pop along. You'll meet the mayoress of Johannesburg. So now, me and Sean and his girlfriend are thinking, hey, this is going to be a sit-down dinner before, you get to meet the mayoress. We get there, he hands me a dozen warm Hanses in a can, and he points to, the trays like they use in the army, the big deep trays that they fill with food, and it's, that was the chow.
Good grief.
Yeah, I've seen the mayoress from afar, but I never met her. I've seen her from afar.
Okay, so what did you have to say on camera?
Well, when I get nervous, I shake my left leg, even my right leg, even if I'm standing. This is long before the accident that I shake my right leg. So I seen a cue card, stop shaking your leg, because I was shaking the whole console. And then, so as you're watching the shoot, because I don't want to really shoot, obviously, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
My hands come up and now I'm doing this. And then she says to me after a while, she says, what do you think of your son being the youngest TV star in South Africa? So I said, well, if he's as handsome as me, he's got it made. And she says, is there anything you'd like to say to your wife right now? And Lucy will cringe, eh?
Anyway.
I says, I'd just like to tell my wife I love her very much. I sounded like a right idiot, eh?
Oh.
But yeah, that was my TV experience.
Yes.
On national TV.
Yeah, debut.
Yeah. My son is the youngest TV star in South Africa. I'm his dad.
Yes.
Just in case he calls Justin Bieber.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think
With that said,
we'll bring that to a close. I think.
I wish you all the very best in this these trying times. Thanks for listening. If you tune into us, please hit subscribe and like and comment. And peace out.
Yeah, I think
Good
commenting,
on.
please. All the best. Cheers. Bye bye.
Sweet. Bye bye.